Hello, welcome, Cabbage here. So I was writing a script for a video called A Beginner's Guide to Nier Reincarnation, and at the end I had a section where I introduced my favorite stories, and I thought, why don't I break that off into its own video, so here we are. These are stories that I think anyone would like regardless of how much they know about Nier. Some of these are in videos I have made because I translated them, but many of these are just straight recordings from the game, and my favorite recordings are by Billy Cool, this YouTuber. Good selection, good quality, but most importantly, they have the Japanese voice acting on the English text, the way I like it. They also have English voice acting versions, so you can look at those if you prefer. And I won't talk about the main story because of course those are great and vital. I'll just showcase supplemental stories here. That being said, first I'll introduce my favorite main story character arc, the pairing of Marie and Yuri. But I have a specific order in mind. It goes Marie, main story, Marie, dark memory story, Yuri, dark memory story, then Yuri, main story. It totally works with just the main story, but the dark memory stories inserted in there gives more context, fleshes out the characters, and heightens the tragedy. And the tragedy is what really struck me because it felt very classically Greek. I love Greek tragedy, and I even made a video talking about that, link below. Then there are two characters that do live in the same time period but who never meet, and they both have the best written arcs that stretch across multiple story types, Akeha and Argo. Their main stories serve as their introductions, their dark memory stories give background on them, their secret stories give context and flesh out the characters, leading into their arc resolutions in their Recollections of Dusk stories. These feel the most complete overall, and Akeha leaves you devastated while Argo has kind of a happy ending. Another character who is worth investigating every type of story is Deus, but for him, in addition to those, I recommend watching my analysis of him, where my thesis is he is the classic epic hero more than any other. I didn't notice it at first, but when I went back and sorted all the characters into what type of heroes they were, surprisingly, Deus fit nearly all the criteria of the epic hero, like we see with Luke Skywalker, Simba from Lion King, and of course Odysseus. Where he differs is in how his journey ends, which is more Nier-like. I personally feel that that framework elevates Deus' story and character, but feel free to watch and judge for yourself. There's one more character where the main story setup and RD story payoff is great, and that's Noel. Her dark memory and secret stories are much less essential, but feel free to have a look at those too. Noel is one of the more important characters in the game, and I've made a bunch of videos about her. You can watch the in-game footage of her and/or my coverage and analysis. Next, I wanted to highlight the couple of 063Y and F66X. The single story that highlights what I like best about them is 063Y's Recollections of Dusk story, and it focuses on their romance. That aspect was always there all along, but this story is where I really felt it. The performance of 063Y's voice actor was understated, as usual for Nier, but still really touching. I could feel the love, somehow. And then, the one dramatic recital I'll feature is with F66X and Priyat. The performances are great, it made me like all of the characters more. But the mini-play kinda starts silly and then turns heartbreaking. I was tearing up as I was translating the latter half. Finally is Yuzuki's Recollections of Dusk story. Hina's RD story rightfully gets more attention because of the insane lore bombs, but Yuzuki's was easily the more affecting, among the most in the entire game. It tells about the family and how it splintered leading up to the events of the main game, and while the main game focused on the relationship between parent and child, this story focused on the relationship between siblings, and it just hurt so much. I remember when they first introduced Hina and Yuzuki, and I was unimpressed. What are these, generic high school kids? Whatever. But in all their stories, they were so interesting and well written that they ended up being some of my favorites. And then this is not actually a favorite in a traditional sense, but Fio's Secret Story number 10, I love the possibilities this presents. Fio and Lavanya fated to find each other across every incarnation of their lives. Hopefully this idea is revisited in the future. I want to know every single story of those, although I'm sure they're all going to play out the same. Fio is sad, and Lavanya feels like an outcast, and they find each other. So those are my recommendations for my favorite stories in Nier Reincarnation. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again. Take care.